right, tentative budget.
So Scott will go through this. He highlighted in green anything that changed from May, plus you will see that the May actuals now are under, so there's one more month of actuals. The budget has, the deficit projection has increased roughly by about 160,000 and, or 180,000, is that correct, Scott? Roughly, we were at 120 and now we're projecting around 300?
303.
160,000 of that was incoming students who are for special ed outplaced tuition. And so it's not a cost that really can be addressed by any measures. It's a cost that we have to assume. And so we received all the files this month coming over from our feeder schools. That being said, we do, just to, prepare the board, we still have property taxes at 99%, so if the property taxes come in at 100%, that 180,000 deficit and increase should be offset by 1 additional percent of property taxes, which would get us to a projected number of 120.
Originally.
Our original projection of 120.
Because now we just got to talk about the 300.
Right. And go ahead, Scott.
Okay, if we look at the assumptions on the expenditure side, items that were changed, THIS, I got the TRS.
119, Mayor.
I got our TRS statement stating exactly what the rate increase was going to be on that.
When people listening don't know what THIS and TRS
It's the board share for the
Teachers'
retirement system,
right?
and they set the rates on it. I have looked at the historical on that particular line item. It is under budget currently, and with the increase to 0.92%, and based off of our actual salaries for TRS employees, it needs to be increased so that it's not under budget on it. The increase on that is roughly 15,000, I believe, to move that up.
That's not in the assumptions.
It's not in the assumptions, but it's in the overall expenditure side.
So on the assumptions on 119, though, let's stay in order,
Okay, I'm sorry.
just so that they can go on 119, the two that you highlighted are
Yes,
the two changes.
the two that I have highlighted is the out-of-district tuition. After going through, like Dr. Skink has said, the placements of the incoming freshmen, the $1,080,000 is way more in line than what the original projection of $922 was for the out-of-district tuition. Currently, the expenditures for our FY18, I looked at June's invoices on it. We're roughly about $1,057,000 on that, currently where we're standing at. Going through with our special ed director, we believe that the $1,080,000 is a much better figure to capture all the costs for our out-of-district tuition. I did double check with LADSI on our purchase service. I know I had originally at 505. I think 515 is probably more in line as you get the reconciliation and there's rate changes for the services. That gives a little bit of cushion to take into effect if there is any salary increase or benefit increase that they pass off onto the districts with it. So I put that back up an additional 10,000 to 515 with an increase of 10,000 to that particular line item. It's a tough one to predict on that. I do get preliminary information from the business manager at LADSI, but it doesn't take into effect any type of cost increase or rate changes throughout the course of the year when they go through the reconciliation at the end of the year.
So if the board reviewed through this, all your highlights that are in a light green highlight, those are changes from the May 1st draft, right? And you received a few questions on this?
Yes. Let me get my questions out here, sorry. Questions that were received on Board Book page 130 under the crossing guard line item. This is a decrease from what was budgeted in 18 to 19. Part of 18, we budgeted in our safety liaisons officers' salary into this line item. In FY19, I'm moving that salary under the Assistant Principal of Student Affairs to be in line with what all our other security officers are being paid, which is the non-certified salaries. So you will see an increase under the non-certified salaries under the Assistant Principal of Student Affairs.
We are gonna have a crossing guard that we have to pay
We do
for.
have crossing guards.
It's gonna be around $5,000.
On First Avenue. We left $5,000 in there if we get billed by Riverside.
Okay.
When we get billed. Okay. And the other green question mark, you had the 105, where there was a question on above that? Or that's the board share you highlighted?
That was the
the
highlight of the THIS.
Okay.
That was the increase to be more in line with our salaries from our staff that partakes in TRS. On Board Book page 132, under organizational sponsors, there is an increase from 18 to 19. What happened here is I didn't account for the assistant auditorium manager in 18. Throughout the beginning of the year, it was a vacant position, and it ran midway through until we got an actual assistant to do it. So I totally, that was a budget oversight on my part for that. It is accounted for in FY19, the true cost that has every position captured.
All right, next.
On Board Book page 132, under Life Skills, under the Special Ed Department, the FY19 budget reflects 3 paraprofessionals compared to the preliminary budget of FY18, which had 4. So there is a decrease in the cost there.
Okay.
Board Book page
Flip
133.
that answer the other way, though. We only incurred, our amended budget was 75,000, right? Or I mean, our budget is 75,000, we only incurred 41,000 through May. June and July, I mean, are we gonna incur 30,000 more in 2 months?
That's something I gotta look at with it.
Okay, so you're kind of looking at it because if you reduce it,
We still have
if
4
this year's
payrolls
based
that
on
still
this
have to
last
come
year,
out.
you're gonna be, there's 4 payrolls, but
But it shouldn't come
It
out.
only will hit-
that'd be
right.
30,000 versus 41 for 22 payrolls or
Mhm.
whatever. It still seems like it's a
It's
little
low,
off.
it seems low.
Or no, it seems high compared to the actual.
The budget
does,
seems high
but
to the actual.
Yeah, the actual seems low compared to
Yeah, the actual
budget.
We need to
seems low
check with
compared to the
Sheila and
budget.
see when we filled those positions and when, if they were paid throughout the whole year or not. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
On Board Book page 133, Special Education Idea Grant, there's a $35,000 allotment that was put into the budget as preliminary as we use those funds to pay for a paraprofessional in it. Instead of doing that, what we are doing now moving forward is that money goes towards offsetting our LADSI purchase service costs. So the IDEA funds are used up front to offset the overall cost of the LADSI purchase service. The only item in our IDEA grant is 5% of the funds for professional development, which is roughly, I think it's $6,700 that is set aside for special education professional development with our IDEA grant. So that's why it's zeroed out for the $35,000. Board Book page 133 under Title I, paid services. The tentative FY19 budget has allotted the cost for our HERO student management system, which is roughly $9,500 in it. So that's with our tentative accounts that we're going to use to pay different things with Title I. That particular one is $9,500 for the HERO system.
But we budgeted 26,000 this year and we haven't charged anything against it yet. Is there a reason?
And with this too, I know that The accounts are all over the place with it. I have to double check
Right.
with it. I understand it looks off with it, but I'm sure there's an account that is
Okay.
over
That's
in
fine.
Title I. And it's really hard to predict as you amend throughout the course of the year what your items are going to be using your Title I dollars.
134, did you have any? What was your next question?
The next questions were Board Book page 140 under the Board of Education. We do have one retiree, and we have a $10,000 stipend, or not a stipend, but a 403B payment
Okay.
built in for that. That was a individual
Okay.
retirement contract, worked with the board and that
I want
employee.
to ask a related question, not for today, but for the Illinois Association of School Boards sent us a notice that, I don't remember if it was passed, I think it was, that the penalty for providing additional pay to teach in the last 4 years kicks in if it's over 3% now instead of 6%.
Unless you had a
Unless-
contract that grandfathered us in.
Yes, it goes until your next contract.
I understand that, but we are going to be budgeting and talking about budgeting under the current contract, but
Right.
negotiating. So
That would have to
if
be-
that statute, if we give raises over 3%, are we automatically going to be setting ourselves to incur a
be set up
penalty?
for a penalty.
Our retirement incentive in our current contract, it has sunset language is set for 3%, and then the bonuses are given after. The only place where it would become an issue in the next contract that we would have to look at is our retirement language says that we will provide a 3% salary increase. And we allowed the teachers to do extra duty
Right.
stipends or supervision or things that could get them closer to the 6.
Right.
So what we would have to discuss is if, since we approved that sunset language and that language in this current contract, does that grandfather us into the end of that sunset language? Or do we have to adjust that language in the next contract?
Well, I mean,
Well,
it's,
the raises themselves, right, we're protected. I mean,
Correct.
we're not
for the
doing.
current contract.
Right, the
for-
current
for next
contract, we're, yeah,
budget
next
year.
contract, yeah. And I thought they still have the ability to do stipends.
Under the current.
No, I thought under the new, no?
So under the new,
It's
what
not
would
the
happen
way I
is
read
if somebody was in their retirement.
But if they would-
And we already accounted for a 3%
Yeah, yeah,
salary
yeah,
increase,
yeah.
and now you added on a
I thought they
$5,000
gave them
stipend.
opportunities,
yeah.
Right, no, they'd be over.
I mean,
We're okay, we have a year.
Yeah, we have a contract
Yeah,
we have
that's
a
As long as
protected
your
anyways. yeah.
contract is
Current contract's good.
currently
Right.
with it, yeah. And it's based off of credible earnings.
Correct. So the only thing that we have to look into is sunset language in future contracts.
Okay.
Under the same Board of Education, Professional Services, this was increased to account for a mentor for the new Assistant Principal of Athletics. On Board Book page 141, under Fiscal Services, under Audit Services, this was increased to account for a new accounting rule that's out there to, per GASB 75, I won't get into
Or
it, just
with-
know that we have to have a full valuation done with an actuarial report on other
So
post-retirement.
$3,500 for that service.
$3,500 for that.
That's a good way to
the
summarize
increase.
it.
It's a 25% increase in our audit services, though, for one
For- yeah.
actuarial report.
Yes.
What do we administer?
The,
Post-retirement?
Medical. There's people on with medical, receiving medical benefits from previous contracts.
2008 contract, correct?
Yes. On Board Book page 142, under the Technology Department, what I did here is I split the Technology Director to make it easier to track what the admin salaries are. It is an assumption, so it's a lot easier to just put that in and bill it in so I can filter by admin salaries. And that's right above the line item that is highlighted. You'll see the directors there. And then the non-certified one takes into account the raise and for the Assistant Technology Director.
Okay.
Okay.
What other ones did you have?
Under technology paid service, the reason that the decrease on that one is we moved our backup internet into the operations and maintenance account that will capture all costs associated with the phone and the internet.
Okay.
So you'll see the decrease there, increase in the O&M.
Okay.
There was no further questions submitted on the tentative budget.
So I have a question.
There were no further questions submitted? No, I'm just kidding.
There was a whole group of people that came here today. What year is that potentially going to hit?
If it goes with approval in July, we'll have to build it into this FY19
What's that?
budget.
For the class?
So we'll have to bill in the coaches, increase the transportation, everything that is associated
we'd
with
add
the
another-
equipment cost.
Another 20,000.
We go to 323,000 deficit.
Yes.
But that would be, the board would, if the board were to take action on that in July or August, it would be adjusted into September, which is the official budget that the board approves.
Would we have to go through a re-notice period?
No.
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 This is just putting it on public display, available for the public to do. When it comes time to approve the September budget, we'll have the public notice out there with the public hearing.
Okay.
I have a question. On Board Book 122, it states that the Board of Education is restricting $2,800,000 from working cash fund. I thought it was $3 million.
200,000 we put in the current budget, so if there's any work or investigatory work that we need to do, we have a budget to pull from.
We voted that a couple of
I
meetings
think
ago.
we-
Wes.
I remember now why we ask these questions.
Any other questions?
So we need to do the resolution.
Got a resolution to approve it.
Somebody want to read a resolution?
I will if I find
This is the one up there.
Yep.
You resolve that the Board of Education Township High School District 208 Cook County, Illinois hereby approve and adopt the budget containing estimates of amounts available in each fund as a tentative budget for the said school district for the fiscal year 2018-2019, and be it further resolved that this tentative budget following adoption by this Board of Education shall be made conveniently available to the public for inspection for at least 30 days prior to the final adoption thereof at the September 11th, 2018 board meeting.
it. Second.
Go for the vote?
Dr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Sierra?
Yes.
Mr. Smithing?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.